real quick, actually, before we move on, have you heard that Hall and Oates are fighting?
No, I hate it when mom and dad have a fuss.
No, it's like really, really bad. I think there's like restraining orders and shit. Hold on, let me see if I can find an article.
What? Who threatened to beat who up? Did Oates finally, after all these years, say "fuck you, you glory hog"?
I have an article from Variety a week ago. Daryl Hall talks new solo album, Elvis Costello tour, and confirms Hall and Oates are officially over. Let me go to the Hall and Oates part. Say It Isn't So isn't just the name of a classic Hall and Oates song. It is the much headline reaction to the news that the duo that practically defines duos had a nasty and seemingly final split last year. The two, who began singing and performing together more than 50 years ago over a mutual love of soul and doo-wop music, were almost impossible to imagine without each other. Even more than Simon without Garfunkel, or George Michael without Andrew Ridgeley. This was more...
I could imagine that pretty easily.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah.
This was more like a final split between peanut butter and jelly.
Oh!
It's actually hard to imagine. The problem stemmed from Oates' attempt last year to sell his half of the duo's jointly owned company, Whole Oats Enterprises. Whole Oats Enterprises.
Whole Oats Enterprise.
Which controls trademarks, personal name and likeness rights, record royalty income, website and social media assets, something he can't do without Hall's consent. It hit me by surprise, Hall acknowledges, speaking from his home in the Bahamas. I don't know, man. All I could say is people change, and sometimes you don't really know someone like you thought you did. Difficulties can be made from things that aren't difficult, and then it goes to a place where it can never come back from. It's unfortunate and untimely, but some things just change. People rewrite history and harbor thoughts you had no idea about. Asked if we've seen the last of his former group, he replies, "That is correct. I haven't had a creative relationship with John for at least 25 years. We didn't write songs together. We didn't do anything together, except perform live shows. We had an arrangement that I couldn't play my solo songs on stage with Hall & Oates, and now I get to." And I'll look up the restraining order, but what are your initial thoughts on Hall & Oates breaking up?
Well, again, now I'm interested in seeing exactly what Oates' side of the beef, as they say, is in this thing, because, let's face it, there's always the more famous guy, and Hall was the more famous guy. I think Andrew Ridgeley is the classic example. But at the same time, he was part of it. How much of a part of it was he? Really down deep.
Hall was the voice, and Oates was the mustache. And now he doesn't even have a mustache.
He doesn't have a mustache. Well, see, that may have been part of the problem. Or maybe it was just... As they got older, did they find that one of them became out of touch and the other became out of time?
Do you think there's some sort of obligation, once you become famous with a mustache or any sort of facial hair, that you have to keep some semblance of that throughout? Like if Magnum TA showed up with no mustache, it would be disappointing.
Yeah.
Now, in 2024, if he went to an autograph show with no mustache, like, oh, come on. And now Oates has no mustache.
Yeah, I think you've got to, keep some level of, Groucho, in the movies, he painted his on, but for television, he actually committed to growing one, but only for the shooting season of You Bet Your Life. In the off season, he shaved it again.
According to an article I have here from the LA Times from November, earlier this month, Hall sued Oates, his former music partner, because Oates allegedly planned to sell his share of a joint venture to a third party. Hall argued it would violate the terms of an agreement they had reached. A Nashville Chancery Court judge swiftly blocked the sale while legal proceedings and a previous arbitration continue. So basically, he got an injunction and forced them back into arbitration. Oates and the other defendants in the lawsuit, Oates' wife, Amy Oates, and business manager Richard Flynn, in their roles as co-trustees of Oates' trust.
Man, well, see, Daryl Hall, a little bit more recognizable than Oates. Maybe Oates was trying to get some money together.
Oates tried to
Maybe
sell, yeah, he signed a letter of intent with Primary Wave Music, they got money, for the sale and alleges further that the letter makes clear that the duo's business agreement was disclosed to Primary Wave Music in violation of a confidentiality provision.
Tony Khan's must be involved in this some way.
It's confidential that Hall and Oates have a business relationship? How could that be confidential?
But I think Oates wants some fucking money, and maybe he's trying to. Maybe he's got, goddamn some kind of terminal crotch rot or something. His wife, and he's trying to set up the trust for his wife there to make sure she's taken care of. And that no good heel, that disgusting, no good son of a gun, Daryl Hall, trying to hog all the glory and all of the company. For heaven's sake.
Jeez, I wonder what they both think of Tommy Mottola when he managed them. He ended up with their publishing, and then he left them and went to run Sony.
Yeah, they ought to be suing him together.
I think
Fuck him too.
They may have tried to sue him. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago.
Well, they could do it again.